Hey everyone, Viv here. In case you missed it, I wanted to let you know that we have a fortnightly email newsletter. We give you the latest recap on all things happening in our community. In there, you'll also be the first to know about our next events, merch drops, and exciting announcements. Head on over to levelasianpodcast.com/newsletter to sign up for the latest. Now, on to the episode.
Do you think that other people from other countries should be allowed to live in Australia?
Yes, I do, because then we get to know other people and what their food's like and their traditions and things like that.
Everyone should be allowed to live where they want. The world should be free.
If the countries they're coming from, say Vietnam or Cambodia, are under threat or they're refugees, I think that they should be able to leave and try and find a better life.
Everybody talks about how hard it is to kind of be first or second generation migrants. But this generation we are in now is probably the best generation. What a privilege for us to be able to see the world from two lenses.
You're in an interesting industry where you are literally the person in your hands to control a lot of people's destinies around what they want to do. Like you actually bring dreams to life with migration.
So when my dad came to Australia, he was studying and then he had a scholarship, but then he still worked washing dishes. One of the people in the workplace actually threw a dish on the ground and there's like, haha, pick it up, you're Asian. And he picked it up. Yeah. Even though there's so much tight-knit community now, racism still happens. People still get treated like that.
What you've done is amazing, but your personal life, you've got to leave some time for that. And I know you're planning to get married soon.
Yes, I saw your videos and I was just like, man, that looks so cool. Like, I just want to be able to do that. When else are you going to be able to do that?
Yeah.
Let's get, two violinists, two singers, bilingual, celebrate, let's do it.
Before we get started on today's episode, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which this podcast is recorded, the land of the Darug people. We would like to acknowledge and pay respects to our elders past and present and the next generation coming through. Now, onto today's episode.
I'm trying to remember how we connected. Do you remember?
I don't know who I connected with, but it was on Instagram.
I think Viv reached out to you.
Yeah.
Yes, we reached out. I asked one of you guys to reach out to Traci, I remember.
Yeah.
We had like a top list that we wanted to go for, and I was like, yeah, put Traci there.
Because we've been following you since the pandemic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I remember the first reel I watched and you did the whole, it was like one of the trends where you dropped and then you walked off with different outfits. I was like, damn, this is good.
Yeah. Those are good. I wish they were not cringy to do now. It wasn't cringy there, so I was okay.
No, it was cringy. So it's the character. So for everyone's sake, it's the character.
We'll put it up on the screen.
Can you show me which one? There's a few though.
So good. And
so
I actually think there's been parts where because we run a marketing agency, where we're when we're thinking about different reels ideas, we're like, let's just go check Traci's TikTok. And we're getting inspiration ideas. Because there's this other reel that you do where you're explaining migration law.
Yeah.
But you're literally in the kitchen cooking and stuff. And we're this is so random, but it works. How come there's so many people watching this shit?
I know, it's so funny. It's funny because I wanted to talk about the migration, but then I was just okay, but I need to integrate it into my life to make it easier. So it's whatever I'm doing. Yeah. So if I'm going to go eat, if I'm having a coffee, I'll just do a voiceover.
So smart.
Yeah.
So it's like an efficiency thing for you.
Yeah. Because I'm very busy now. I've pro cooking less. So back then I was cooking those things to eat.
Yeah.
Really, I wasn't doing it. I was I want to try this. And then I was like, okay, I'll just film it while I'm at it.
But it works because the information is important and it's good as well, right? It just, no one wants to watch you eat. Well, actually, some people actually want to watch you eat.
I think it's the personality as well.
Might be. I mean, again, when I first started this, I wasn't sure. I think I wanted to just try cooking TikToks, be a cooking influencer. But that didn't work out well. Yeah.
That was the original intention. Oh, that was.
I don't know. Yeah, I was trying it. Yeah, maybe I thought, okay, these guys are cooking and I can do this too. Yeah. But then somehow I put migration onto it. I don't know where the idea kind of came from. Yeah.
Well, actually, speaking of food and cooking, because we went to Ramadan night markets and you weren't there. But she was like celebrity, man, like everywhere. You got stopped like so many times, and me and Noel just sitting there on the side. Every time someone wanted a photo, we're like, all right, we just get out of the screen.
No, it's funny because you share with my partner, and then, oh my God, and then they're like, can you take a photo?
He's the cameraman.
And he's like, oh, okay.
Poor guy also had to like hold all the food. So he was like basically the mule who was like carrying everything.
So
Taking photos of everyone.
So does he film you and all that stuff? Or?
Yeah, he does. If he's there, he'll be the one helping me film.
He's so supportive.
Insta boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the Insta boyfriend. But
Definitely.
it was so funny. It got to the end of the night, and I remember, I don't know if you noticed, but it was just like, I turned around to him because he was holding like literally like 5 bags of food, and he was like, he had like both shoulders, hands were full, and I was holding something, and I looked at him, he's like, I got no more hands. He's like, he had to draw a line somewhere. I'm like, it's cool, man. Don't worry about it. I'll hold it.
That's so funny.
Okay, so let's go sort of get all the way from the start. At least growing up as well. So you grew up in Adelaide. Okay, so what was Adelaide like growing up, and what was family like?
Far out. I just want to point out.
Yeah.
It seems like everything good comes out of Adelaide these days.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you know Vin.
Back in the days when he was like mainly doing magic tricks.
Yeah, he was known as the magician.
Yeah, he was like known as the magician, performing at certain dinners and stuff like that. Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah, growing up in Adelaide, came to Australia when I was like 2 years old with my family. Parents are like super educated, came here, dad did like 2 masters and a PhD.
Whoa.
It's very quiet in Adelaide, and I think when we came here, we were just kind of used to that way of life.
Yeah.
But it's difficult because your parents come here, English is not their first language. So, you know, they really struggled to find professional jobs. So even though my dad was like so educated, he worked in a factory for like his whole life.
Oh, he's doing labour.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Doing labour work.
Really?
Same
So
with my mum.
could never put the masters to use?
No. He worked for a little bit after he finished his PhD, but nothing really after. And I do think it's got to do with Adelaide as well, because he's in research and there's just not enough funding for that kind of stuff in Adelaide as well.
Yeah.
And so he, I wouldn't say gave up, but he kind of obviously took the safe road. Because I think any Asian parent, when they're migrated here, they come in survival mode. It's all about survival. For us, when I look back on it, I think it's, you know, real shame because he's, you know, had a lot to offer. But yeah, the English barrier was something.
Right.
Yeah,
and then mum?
Mum was the same. So, you know, she was educated and then she came to Australia and she worked as a shop assistant.
Yeah,
you
wow.
know? Yeah.
And then did you have any siblings or was it just
Yeah, I've got a little sister.
Yeah.
And yeah, for the both of us, you know, the parents like, you know, you've got to, you know, study well and do all of that. So we're like, okay, you know, for me, they wanted me to be a doctor. But for me, like, I can't handle that stuff. Like, if I see blood, like, I want to faint. Like, I can't deal with it. So lawyer was the second best option. Yeah, and I was like, lawyer's the second best option. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I was watching, like, you know, TV shows then. I was like, that's cool, kind of cool. I'll do that. Yeah. So I went into law school. I studied at Flinders University. And then once I graduated, I worked in a couple of different law firms in Adelaide. And then I moved to Melbourne to work as a lawyer. And then it was like kind of around the pandemic time already here. So like 2019, started a new job in 2020 in like a global immigration firm. And then that was at the beginning of 2020. And then I was let go in about May.
Oh, you were let go?
Yeah, in May 2020. Then I already had like another job lined up in another like suburban law firm in Geelong. And because they wanted to start their migration practice, they really didn't have anyone there. So I was like, okay, cool, I'll go in and try. And then at that time, you know, it was quiet because they're a commercial firm. There's not like you get a lot of migration leads. So I had to figure out how to get migration leads. But at that time, my partner also, you know, with everything that was happening with the pandemic, he couldn't order medical scrubs. Right? It was like a 6 to 8 week wait. And at that time, you see a lot of content that was kind of like, you know, small business, all that kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, you know, maybe I can like order in some scrubs and see how we go. So I ordered in the scrubs. I was like, okay, how am I going to market this? I was like, okay, I'm going to market on TikTok. But when I market on TikTok, I have to know how to do it right. I don't know how to market on TikTok. So I have to practice every day until the scrubs arrive. So I just started practicing with the migration stuff because I watched the videos like, you know, it has to be a topic that you know how to talk about every day, that you understand. I was like, okay, well, the only thing I understand is migration. So I started doing that every day and just trying out different trends and doing all that cringy stuff. By the time the scrubs arrived, because they took like 2 months to arrive, I was already like 30,000 followers deep into TikTok.
Oh, okay. How long did that take? So 2 months it took you to
Yeah, 30,000. I was like, oh, okay, well, let's start the scrub thing. So I was trying to do both at once.
Yeah.
And then I was still at the law firm at the time. And so this would have been like end of 2020 probably now. Yeah. And then, they kept getting calls, and it's different because, they've been around for like 80 years, a law firm. So our views are very different. So I was just like, I can take this further. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to start my own firm. So that was middle of 2021.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, start my own firm.
So you worked how long before you started your own company?
4 years.
4 years. Oh, okay. That's okay.
Sorry, how old are you?
So I'm 33.
33. Okay, got it.
What are you doing asking a woman that?
I
don't mind.
panic every day. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm 33. Panic every day. Oh my God. I'm 33.
I'm joking. I'm just playing.
So I'm trying to contextualize it. It's like, because you said 4 years and I was like, what? I was like, how long were you actually working as a practicing lawyer in migration?
Yeah. One thing I did leave out was in between uni, I only started uni part-time because I had a solar panel business. I was actually
You're not a lawyer, you're just a business owner.
Yeah, I think at this point. So we had the solar panel. So that's why I was just studying part-time, and I ran the solar business. That was during the time where solar was booming.
Right.
So
with all the rebates.
It was just booming. So I just did that while I do that. Yeah.
That's the business you started as well?
Yeah. And then I stopped that when I finished law, and that was when everything started slowing down with solar.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, cool. I'll just start the law.
Yep.
Yeah.
You went into law. Okay. And then you worked for them for a couple of years. Oh, so about a year, I'd say.
And then you went and got let go, right, for one place too. Can you dive into that? Like what happened there?
So it was a global immigration firm. I left my previous firm to go start this role. Really exciting. And there was like a lot of corporate work, which is what I wanted to get into because I was doing more like individual visas and family visas at the time. So I wanted to really try this. And when did that whole pandemic thing happen? February, March? So it was like 1 month into work. Everything started closing. And then obviously all the corporate clients stopped.
Because the borders closed.
Borders closed, and their business was slowing down because of, lockdowns and stuff like that. So, I remember once it was maybe February and the visa was just approved for one of the clients and he was about to jump on a plane, like it was a chef for a restaurant and couldn't come. Like he's just said, no, we're not continuing on with this employment because of everything that's happened. Yeah. So, and then I kind of chipped along and I kind of knew it was coming because they had by March, they had turned all of us into part-time. Yeah. And then they kept like some of the seniors on maybe 4 days a week.
Yep.
And then by May, I was let go.
How did you feel about that?
Yeah, I was going to say, what was the reaction like?
I guess I saw it coming, but you're still surprised. Yeah, I think I saw it coming because other people were let go too. But then it's still a surprise when you experience it, especially if you are like, you've done well previously in your career, you've never been let go before, so
it's offensive.
I'm like, what's really funny, the lady who let me go, she was the managing director. She left too. I use her for recruitment now. So I pay her to recruit people for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
how ironic.
Yeah, so that's kind of turned around. And she talks about it all the time, She's kind of like, how funny how the tables have turned,
Wow. And so the firm now, we were talking about it when I caught up and I was so surprised at like how fast you grew. Because like, what's the size of the firm now in terms of headcount?
It's almost 50 now.
Oh my God. So, it's still growing since we spoke.
Yeah, I think I had like
40, I think
I had 8 people since we last spoke.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, it's really exciting. It's a really exciting time. And obviously the pandemic was good because it went from like from 0 to 100. So it was also, you think during that time when I started TikTok, you think, there'd be no business, but it's not true because there was a lot of people stuck in Australia who also didn't want to leave.
Well, I was going to ask you because the borders were closed for like 2 years.
Yeah.
It's like, how did you actually get business? Because no one can get in or out.
But it's just so many people here. There was something
stuck in limbo.
Yeah, and they want to stay here. They don't want to go back because everything else around the world was
fucked up.
Yeah,
because their visa will be expiring. Figure out some way.
And then they see
bridging visas and all that.
Yeah, and then they see what's happening back home because Australia managed it very, very well if you look back. So then compared to that, they were like, okay, I want to stay in Australia. So actually it was good. I was reading somewhere it's like 2 million temporary visa holders in Australia.
Wow.
Oh, there was that many
Yeah,
at
it's
the
actually
time?
quite a lot. Yeah.
Holy crap.
So there's even more now.
Yeah.
That's like 10% of the country.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Huge.
So the market was decent size for you. Even with existing.
Huge. That's why we're still like now we still need so many people because there's just a lot of people who want to move to this wonderful country.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so then going back to, so you had Geelong, you left that suburban firm in Geelong and you set up your own practice. By then you were saying, even though you're practicing for the scrubs business, did the scrubs business ever get off the ground?
It did. It got off the ground, but I had someone else run it. And then I always thought about, I've got to put more time into it, but I just didn't have the time. So I ended up selling it end of last year.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
it did
still
run for a
running
little
now.
while.
Yeah, so still running now.
Yeah, gotcha. Because you were juggling 2 businesses.
Yeah.
And then so you must have just 100% into this.
Yeah.
And you were getting inquiries through TikTok as well?
Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Yep.
And it's like 300 queries a day. And I was looking at the numbers the other day. We only are able to physically respond. I have 5 receptionists and 3 SDRs, we call them like representatives.
Yep.
We only are able to contact like back 18%.
Wow.
Physically.
Like 1 in 5, basically.
Yeah.
And this is bloody insane because I've never heard of any law firm like grow this fast. Because usually they don't grow that fast at all. So it's insane.
Well, you usually have to it's a bit like accountants, right?
Yeah.
You have to bring in partners
to
bring in the business. But in your case, you're just like literally like a one person lead generation machine.
Yeah.
And it's insane. But it's like, now that I think about it, you obviously with a marketing lens, you sort of got the perfect storm because you had like pandemic and then you like nailed the content, the creatives.
Because there's uncertainty.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, oh, wow, she's got certainty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I think that's when TikTok really blew up. So you rode that sort of wave there as well. So you just like had this like perfect situation in a lot of ways. But of course you still had to do the work, right? So then you were at about 20, 30,000 followers. How many have you got now?
On TikTok, 200,000.
200,000. And then of course you got all the other platforms as well, right? So you just like doubled down, you just kept going. You're like, you can create more content.
Yep. Kept going. And I think what also is helpful is I think I never thought of it as marketing.
Yep.
So you just think of it about how can I, explain this information because I find it very interesting. So why not I share it with everybody? And I think that's why people are inquiring and, they want to come to us. You see other law firms do marketing. It's so marketing. They're like, this and that, but you don't do it from
really
that.
Raw and
Like you're trying to
authentic.
sell things like most of the time, those guys. But for you just want to provide education and content out there to
It was
explain
never,
things.
it was never to like, bring in leads or do marketing or anything like that. It was just kind of like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
Same thing happened with accounting in the COVID days as well. There was all these grants and people lost their money and like they didn't know what was happening with the lockdown rules with their businesses. So like for me, I just felt like instead of my phone ringing 24/7, I could just film a video and then put it out there and then at least my phone didn't ring as much. But still rang.
It's gonna ring more. Like, So no, definitely. I think for any business, I think if you are especially service based, if you're thinking about marketing, don't think about how I'm going to bring in these leads. Just think about with my knowledge, how can I enrich someone else's life?
Yeah.
And people will come to you.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially in the professional services business.
Well, it's all based on expertise and industry knowledge as well. Yeah. So it makes total sense. In terms of setting up the business and then growing, right? Like, we both have scaling businesses. So, and we know how like challenging it is with scaling the business. Can you just walk through like who, like you're hiring, like who you sort of hired first and how that sort of went? Cause I'm actually really curious because it's one thing to like go, yep, I've got this many number of leads and we need to service it. But then to maintain like say the quality, the standard, the systems, the processes, what was that like?
Yeah, it's definitely hard because you put on a pedestal as a lawyer and as an accountant, as a professional standard you need to maintain. So when I first started, I hired an intern, right? Then I hired another agent and then a lawyer slowly. You have to put these people on slowly and train them. And with migration, it changes literally every single day. So you can hire someone that's been in industry for 20 years, but they may not actually be as knowledgeable as the current generation because they're just so up to date with everything that's going on. And I really struggled at the beginning because no one wanted to work for me. Because I'm just like, they're like, who's this? This chick on TikTok. Like, I don't know what. You know how many job offers I've sent out? Like the recruiter for me, I like, yep, cool, want to hire this person. And then they look at the contract and everything and they come back like, sorry, I've changed my mind.
Really?
Yeah, at the beginning, super hard. And that's why I had to use a recruiter. Because if I was putting job ads on Seek, whatever, no one wanted to apply.
You weren't getting the quality,
Nah, because they're like, who is this? Because law firms, they want to work with, the big law firms that's been around for a while.
I had a similar problem as well.
Yeah.
I thought it was because I didn't market the company well enough. And it was all about me. So I changed the way of doing things and I tried to make it more like, friendly and attractive. But yeah, after a while, once your brand blows up a bit, then people want to work for you more.
Yes, that's right.
Did you find that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot easier to recruit now. A lot of people reach out to us, especially the new graduates. They reach out to us and they want to work for us because they love what we do. But it's really hard because you get so many queries and they just keep like doubling up. It used to be like 50 queries a day. Now it's 300 queries a day or whatever it is. You can't grow too quickly because you've got to make sure that every single person you're bringing on, you've got to make sure that they're doing quality work because you only need like a couple of, quality cases, and then that snowballs from there too. So you've got to manage that really well. And people are like, oh my God, you've grown so quickly. I don't think I've grown that quickly. I think every time I'm putting someone on, I think so carefully about it that it's not proportional. I think I could have gone to like maybe 100 if I was, a little bit reckless in that sense. You could have gone harder, yeah. Yeah, but I'm not doing that because again, I know how important it is in the professional industry to maintain that quality of work, quality of advice. So you've just got to do it slowly. So to me, it's actually very slow.
So how are you training everyone up or getting everyone up to the level that you expect them to?
Yeah, there's different people high. So there's seniors that are high, and then there's the grads are high, and then you've kind of got people who are like with a mid-level experience. We run training sessions like almost every day, and I talk to them every single day about where they need to be looking for new information, and then I also, the way that we review work and all of that, nothing gets through without a senior approving it. So that's kind of how we're doing it. And yeah, looking back, some of the people who started that had no idea, they were just fresh graduates. 1 year later, they're very, very good.
Yeah.
This is fast paced.
Yeah.
So you hired interns and graduates first. I have a view of hiring seniors first before.
Of course.
What do you think now? Like, because
yes, definitely. If you could, I didn't have any seniors who wanted to work.
Didn't have the option.
Yeah, I didn't have the option. Like I remember there was this guy who I wanted to hire. He had been working in the department for 10 years. Then he went to become a migration agent. I was like, whoa, I really need this guy. He knows everything. I offered him like a huge package, and then he was really excited about it. But then he thought about it, and then he's just like, I'm sorry,
because of the reputation of the firm, or like
stability, because we just hadn't been around for very long. Whereas he'd been in his other firm for like 5 years, been long. So it was really hard. Yeah, I didn't have any seniors that wanted to work for me, so that's hard. But now it's a bit better.
Yeah. Because I'm an accountant, a lot of clients come to me and they always say, "Hi, Davey, I want to hire an employee. I'm struggling with in terms of time. Who should I hire first?" And I always tell them just spend a bit more money and hire a senior. And they always want to hire an intern. And I'm like, interns, it's not that it's a bad idea. No. It's just that you lack time and interns require more time.
A lot. Yeah.
So it's like, it's not going to help you in the short run. So it's a risk you're taking because this intern may not want to be doing this forever.
That's right.
Whereas a senior, they've been doing this for 2 to 3 years. They got a bit more experience, more likely want to stay in this field.
That's right. Yeah. And I'm definitely looking back, if anyone's doing business, I'll definitely hire someone with at least, 5, if it's in the service space, at least over 5 years work experience. And you don't have to worry about them as much. Yeah.
Yeah. They sort of slot in a bit easier rather than having a lot of time that you got to spend with them as well. So growing this quickly, how's the stress levels?
I don't know if it's just me, but everyone keeps asking me this, but I don't feel stressed.
You don't strike me as someone who gets stressed out.
I don't. Yeah. And I think a lot of it is, I don't know, maybe it's because of my background and everything. No matter how bad the situation is, things do go wrong and they always will. But I don't think it's that bad. It's not that bad. Okay, let's just fix it and move on. When a problem occurs, you just fix it and you move on. Thinking about it doesn't help the situation. And that's where the stress actually starts, is if you just sit there and dwell on it. But if you make a decision on it, then you don't feel stressed. I don't feel stressed. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
I feel tired, but I don't feel stressed.
Got it.
Yeah.
So even despite the business growing, the pace that it's growing and all that sort of stuff and things going wrong, you're like, it is what it is. Just deal with it.
And let's just get better and better.
It's just the way you view it. Because I was actually watching a video last night. I watched this guy named Ryan Serhan. And
yeah.
So he's
I love his stuff. Yeah.
He's very charismatic. And he was saying it was a very similar question that someone asked him, and he basically said it's just the way you view life, right? I wake up 6 a.m. every day and I do all this stuff and I work 12 hours a day. Most people that do this type of life would die from the stress and overload, and they would probably burn out. But for me, I never burn out. It's partly because I live for this. I enjoy this. This is my life. And when I make those hard decisions, I have to keep moving forward. It doesn't matter. It's something that gives me more energy. So people sometimes say that for a normal person, or for some people, they would say that this will burn me out. But for me, this actually gives me life. This gives me a purpose. Yeah. So why would that ever burn me out? And if I do ever feel like I need to recharge, I'll just go and recharge. Yeah. So I was like, whoa, that's a really cool way of thinking.
Yeah. I feel like, being able to experience all of this, all these things, I think it's a privilege. So to me, I just never feel stressed out. Anyway, I don't know. But someone said to me, people who say that are the people who are most stressed out. And I was like, Well, I don't know.
Like one day, just, you know.
or maybe you've been through hell before.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's that. Because this is not that bad to me, no matter what.
Well, you got
happened.
let off compared to this. This is a privilege.
Yeah, and then all the, you know, the childhood stuff that happened, you know, like I just don't think it's that bad.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that. It's like, well, I feel like people like you, generally speaking, probably have come from, you know, nothing or have had to like work for what they achieve and things like that. Is like, where do you think it's something that's like innately just the way you are, or is actually based on, you know, maybe growing up and some of the stuff that you experienced growing up that sort of helped you think this way?
I think so. I think that, you know, growing up with not much, then you kind of want more. So then that's how I'm, you know, why I am the person I am now, because you just kind of want more. I don't want to be like this. I want this. And then when you realize you can do it, you're like, oh, it's not that hard. Let's just keep going.
Yeah. Because the other thing I asked you was like, I remember at Ramadan Markets, I was like, well, how big do you want this to go? Because it's like, you're growing so fast now. And I'm like, well, what's the sort of North Star, or potentially it's like, where do you draw the line? Is there sort of a point where you think you're going to be like, yeah, I think it's enough? Or you're like, no, I just want to see like how big this can get.
Yeah, I think the latter, because, you know, ask me 2 years ago that I have 50 employees, I'd be like, whoa, I've made it, you know, or even 10 employees, to be honest, it would be, whoa, I've made it. But it never stops. Yeah, you just keep chasing it. And if you are that kind of personality, it will never be enough.
So you're just playing the infinite game of just like constantly growing. That is the fun of it, like the growing.
Exactly. Yeah, I just want to see how far we can take this.
Interesting.
Yeah, being conservative at the same time, but let's see how far we can take this.
A lot.
Yeah.
I sit in the camp of, maybe because I get more stressed out about things than he does, and definitely you, I sort of always go, what's enough? And I'm asking myself that question. Yeah. And he's like, it's fun. You just like grow, right? So I think you two are quite similar.
Yeah, it's so funny because like this, I'm very silent because I'm just remembering the chat I had with my missus this morning. She wakes up and she's so stressed at work. I wake up and I'm so excited to come to work. It's like two opposites. And we drive into the car together. Sorry guys, if you guys don't know, we work together. And then we drive into the car and she's stressed out and I'm like, I'm loving life. And then I'm like, why are you so stressed out? Like, it's so fun going to work. And then all these challenges we have. And I look at my calendar, it's completely jam-packed. I'm like enjoying life. So it's weird. Like the way I see it is like, this is a privilege. This is something that like I'm building together with all the people that I want to build it together with.
What a blessing. Yeah.
Yeah. Rather being in another country and then, you know, making $2 a day, there's just so much things that you can do.
Definitely.
We're so lucky, yeah. But in terms of like how much is enough, we probably reached that point a long, long time ago. But what you want just keeps going as well. You're like, oh, okay, cool. I can go from this to this to this. That keeps growing as well as you grow. Yeah. But you probably would have met that
I think for me, it's more about like trade-off. It's like saying at what cost. So meaning if I were to keep growing, and maybe because I'm in a different part of my life, like I got a 6-month-old, you know, and that sort of stuff. You're about to get married. He just got married. He's probably gonna have kids soon. Maybe the priority is a little bit different, but from my perspective, I'm actually thinking about like, what's the trade-off in terms of that? But I think it also, everything's in the nuances, meaning it depends on who your partner is, what your lifestyle is, where your priorities are, things like that, that I haven't made up my mind. I'm just like trying to navigate this right now, trying to figure out, because I'm like super inspired when we were talking. I was like, holy shit, Traci's a boss, like with this stuff, right? Like he's probably the only other guy that I know that's like got that same level of thinking. I mean, we know a lot of business owners, maybe one or two others.
I'm sure there's a few others.
But at least I would say it's like not many. I can count on maybe one or two hands how many is sort of that level of ambition. So it's like, I'm super interested in understanding that, because my natural inclination is not to think that way. It's more to think about like, okay, I'm satisfied. I've got what I got and that's it.
Yeah. As your business grows, the money side grows as well. And it's not about you having that money. It becomes of like, you have this now and you have so much to give. And that's actually a big part of it for me as well. Because whether it's like you're giving them something material or you're giving someone a job or an opportunity, you have that kind of ability now because you keep growing. And that's what comes along with it. That's the territory that comes with it. And so, yeah, that money is big, but it's not because I want to hold on to it and buy all these things. Like there's so many things I can do. Like when you give it away or when you do this, you can't compare that.
It's the relationships you build.
Yeah, it's like, where's that? I'm just thinking, I'm like, there's not many people who think this way. Most people start business, they're like, I just want to get rich.
I just want to make rich. I make so much money. Yeah.
But you don't think that way.
Yeah.
Where does it come from?
We've got past that point already. That's the thing. That's like, I'll be honest. Sorry, this sounds so bad. Like, and sorry guys, like I know like it might sound up my head, but the thing is like, I don't need that much money to survive off.
No.
So once I got to that point, I'm like, this is just all fun and games now. And anyway, I'm sorry, I'm answering the question, but that's what I think.
No, yeah, for me. And then like I am able to give like my parents the life they deserve, give my friends the kind of life they deserve. That's so nice. Like people say money can't buy happiness, haven't given enough away. I think for me, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
When you give it away, there's nothing you can compare to that. And so if I have the ability to do it, and all the migrants I hire as well, that's changing their lives. But that comes with the territory of growing your business and getting bigger and bigger as well. So you just got to do that to be able to do that part.
Because one of the observations I had is like, you're in an interesting industry where you are literally the person in your hands to control a lot of people's destinies around what they want to do. Like you actually bring dreams to life with migration, right? And I feel like I saw that firsthand at Ramadan markets, because I was like, the first couple of interactions, I was like, are these people approaching Traci because she is like an influencer and, content creator and she's very popular? But I actually, after I thought about it, I was like, no, it's because these guys, you probably have had a big part of their life. Like there's a reason why they're in Australia, for example. And you talk about someone who invited you to their Pakistan wedding, right? Like, I don't think people make those decisions necessarily lighthearted. It's like because you are a big part of their life and you played a big part in it.
And a lot of the people I don't deal with, but it's just because they know my story, they know my family story, and they're so inspired by it and they see themselves kind of like that. Most of the time when I jump into an Uber, they know me and they all say, I loved your dad's story, because I've shared a few of his stories on there. And every single person has seen that story, I swear. Like that's the one thing they bring up.
See, I haven't seen it. So can you
share it
talk
to you
about it?
guys.
Yeah. Okay. Well, are you able to describe it a little bit?
Okay, so when my dad came to Australia, he was studying and then he had a scholarship, but then he still worked washing dishes at night. And it was like back then you get like $40 a night or something like that to wash the dishes, I think. And like back then, yes, a lot of people had migrated, but it's not like the communities we have now where there's a lot of communities, a lot of support. But then there wasn't that much support. So one of the people in the workplace actually said, threw a dish on the ground and there's like, haha, pick it up, you're Asian or something like that.
Yeah, right.
And he picked it up.
The reason why a lot of people probably know about that and it resonates so much to their families, because that's probably what our parents had to go through. They
probably went through something so similar a lot of the time.
They didn't have a voice. They just had to deal with it. Like you said, survivorship as well.
So, and so a lot of people like kind of resonate with that story, because even now, even though there's so much tight-knit community now, that racism still happens. People still get treated like that.
Yeah.
So I think everybody was so inspired by that story and they're like, you motivate me so much. And so with me, I'm kind of like the migration lawyer, but they kind of see the dreams and kind of that. Yeah.
And it's good to see the positive from that, like where you're now helping others. And it's like you're not worrying about the negative things that happen in life and the racism that we had to go through. It's like Australia gave us a home.
Yeah. And an opportunity.
Yeah. We want to give back to Australia and we want to help Australia and prosper. And that's what Vin Zhang says all the time. It's like, 100%. It's good to not be so negative and dwell on the past. It's like, what has Australia given us? Australia's given us so much in our family, So I look forward to just being able to grow up, with my kids and family and start this company. And you can see the same thing. My company has all these second generation immigrants or, I try to hire like anyone. It doesn't matter as long as you have the personality and the culture that fits into our culture. Then I want to hire you.
Yeah, me too.
So it's great, man. Like
I don't know where I got it from, because we didn't really ever talk about it when we were hanging out. But even like talking now, there was something. I don't know what it was. Like just as I was like sort of thinking about like what to ask you, and I feel like a lot of the ambition and growth is driven much like us around giving a better life to our parents and supporting our parents as well, because it sounds like obviously your parents have been really inspirational, but actually a big part of like your drive to like actually achieve better. Like would you agree? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. That's my main driver, because I was like, I never want to be like this. And looking back when we were kids, every single fight was over money. Everything is over money. So I said to myself, like, I'm never going to be in this position where I have to worry about money. And so that's my main driver, I think. But I'm sure all Asian households look back on it and they're like, oh, the thing that caused it was probably money most of the time.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you ever feel like, because I have this problem and I think I kind of went through the same thing in my family, but I have this really bad relationship with money where when I spend it, it makes me feel terrible. because like I never had money when I grew up, and my family never did. So now that, you know, we have a bit more money, when I spend it, I just feel terrible about spending it because I should be more.
Guilt?
Yeah. And
A little bit, yeah, because they teach you to save, and sock away all your money.
Yeah. And I also feel bad because like, hey, like I'm spending this money when back then I didn't have this money. So, and there's people out there that don't have that much money. So I shouldn't be spending and trying to enjoy the fruits of my labor.
Is that why you give away so much in that sense? Like as in like whether it's to hire people and things like that? Like
yeah, I think, but I get more joy from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get more joy from it. It just, when you buy something for someone and they're like, oh my gosh, or you offer someone something, it's different. The joy is different, yeah.
Yeah. I can definitely relate to that sort of as growing our team. I remember actually last week, because we've got an offshore team, we've got a Filipino team, and I said to 3 of them, I said, would you guys be interested in coming to Sydney? And I've never seen so much happiness like in their eyes. It was like Christmas. And they were ecstatic. And I was like saying, I was trying to be practical. I was like, don't you need to check with like your husband and you know, your kid? And they're like, no. They're like, I'm coming for sure. Cause it's like, I think it's unfathomable sometimes for us to go, this is something that they would never in their wild dreams imagine even considering this option, let alone someone paying for it to come over here as well. And I felt really fulfilled. Well, it's an obligation now, and I have to make sure they come.
You know,
but like,
the visa is another problem, but we'll get to that soon.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But it was like one of those moments where I was just like, oh, okay, this is actually a big part of what I do, what I do. And it's not like, we've got to make money and we've got to service our clients and we've got to make sure we do the right thing. But the joy of like actually building essentially a team and a family and like people who get along, like we're doing team retreat and there's a whole bunch of really great things. And like Davey and I talk about it, we see our team as our family in a lot of ways because we spend so much time with them that 100% it's like the same thing. There's like so much of that I enjoy as part of that. I think for me, I'm just like maybe I'm just at a different stage in the business and I want to make sure it grows a little bit more, where it's just like, hey, I'm in a more comfortable spot. Yeah. And then it's like, hey, it's like, all right, made it. Yeah. And now the next stage is like, hey, impact, giving back and things like that.
Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's just,
so that's just my thoughts.
It's so nice, like to give back and be able to help others.
Yeah.
And we talk about this because you got a few of your colleagues going for awards and being finalists and being able to see them like do so well in their career, and they came to you with, you know, nothing or no experience whatsoever. And now they're, you know, top of the game.
Yeah.
And you created something like that, or you helped?
Yeah,
that?
because, you know, back to that, my dad's story there, the whole thing stemmed from like they were never given that opportunity. Yep. So my dad had so much to offer, so smart, but he never had the opportunity. So with me now, one of my goals is like to really give back and really help them and nurture them as migrants, because these law graduates, a lot of them I'm hiring are student visa holders, and a lot of other law firms will not hire them if not permanent residents.
Got it.
And that's where that kind of thing happened with my father. Is not he had permanent residence, but it was an English barrier and a cultural thing back then. But even here now, that's one of the things.
There's like limitations to why people choose you, right?
Yeah, so for now, that's one thing I'm focusing on, and nurturing them and giving that opportunity.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, that's so inspirational.
Yeah. I wanted to go more like, because you're talking about work and career, and that's what you've done is amazing. But like your personal life, you've got to leave some time for that. And I know you're planning to get married soon.
Yes. And again, that was a last minute decision. I never planned on getting married. I didn't even think about it. I thought, I'm too busy. I'm doing this. But then, you something just clicks. Maybe it's age. You kind of like, you kind of and everyone's like, why are you doing the wedding in like, during the time where everybody goes on holidays? I'm like, yeah, but I want to do it during this time, the good weather. If I do any later, like biologically, it doesn't work. So I was like, it had to be that date. And they're like, okay, cool. So my partner, he's very busy too. So we're kind of, in that sense, we kind of work really well together, because he's at a stage, he's in training to become a gastroenterologist, and it is tough. Like, it's a lot of work. He goes to work at like 7:30, comes home at 8, and then he has to study.
Jesus.
Yeah. And he's just always stressed out. Yeah. So for us, it works well, because then we're very busy. So it's not like that stage of life. But yeah, maybe later on after I get married, and if I decide to have children, maybe that will change. The priorities will change, and I'll try to, look for different ways of doing that. But yeah.
So what triggered you to get married? Like there's a few things that you trigger, right? It could be your parents. It could be because body clock, and you want that for yourself, because some people don't really care about the marriage certificate. So what triggered for you?
A lot of things happened. So I've attended like 2 weddings of 2 really close friends at the beginning of this year. I was like, it's just so beautiful. And then I saw your videos and I was just like, man, that looks so cool. Like, I just want to be able to do that. When else are you going to be able to do that? So I was like, you know what, I'm doing it. And if you look back on when I messaged you, asked you about I think it's after you released that video.
Oh, so this was only like a week?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
We
seriously.
had like a whole messaging, like for a whole night we were messaging each other.
Oh.
And then Shirley was like, who the F are you
Who's this
messaging?
woman you're messaging?
And then I'm like, oh no, it's just Traci. She just wants to get some information about the wedding. And then like, because obviously I didn't plan anything. So I just went into Shirley's Google Drive and I just copied and pasted and grabbed all the information and then put it into the text
So you've
message.
got all the notes now.
Yeah, and I contacted all of them and majority of them already booked out. I just basically used his vendor list. I was like, I'm not doing this. I did that. So yeah, so I basically contacted all those people and everything's like sorted now and booked now after like 2
Already?
weeks.
Like
Yeah.
it's all done?
Yeah,
all
she's
done.
quick, man.
Holy crap.
She's so quick.
Yeah,
Like
make
I
your
was
decisions
Because
quick.
these guys were like planning for like
months.
months.
Yeah, but that's probably because I didn't help out. Like as a when she needed me to
Did
make
your
decisions.
fiance help out?
No, I was just like, we're doing this. He goes, yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
Good idea. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
What? Why are we doing that?
Yeah, Shirley needed me to make the decisions for her, and then I just didn't make the decisions.
Oh, was that what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
so
were
that
like-
made it out.
Because like he's just like, well, what am I gonna make a decision on?
Yeah.
It's about like, the woman, right? What the woman wants, right? So
was there any parents wanted you to get married or anything like that?
nah, both our parents were pretty good in that sense. They never talked about that or but. My partner's a bit younger than me, so he's 30 this year. So maybe they were like kind of like not rushing because he's still a little bit young.
They never had to pressure you about your age or anything like that?
Or children or marriage or anything. Nothing.
Wow, that's very good.
That's great. I mean, maybe because your parents are more from an educated background. I don't know. That could be just a way for the way my brain's interpreting it. That they sort of, or maybe just like their life experience. They're just like happiness, right?
Yeah, it wasn't important. But then I feel like I want to celebrate it. Marriage is kind of like, you're celebrating a wedding. So I thought, oh yeah, I want to do this. Yeah. So I made that decision.
When we filmed that video, it was like only like 2 weeks after the wedding. So I didn't really have that much time to process it. But now that the time I've processed it, I think back at it and I've been telling my clients, because my clients been speaking to me about the wedding as well, and they say it's so expensive. And I said, like, it is expensive. I have to admit, it's freaking expensive. And yeah, me and Shirley had so many arguments about it. The one thing I can't get over the fact is that I'm never going to have something like that ever again. If our wedding and our marriage, turns out great, which I believe it does.
Yeah, I hope it does. Yeah, of course.
I'm never going to have 250 people in the same room and celebrating something and having the best night of our lives.
Exactly.
So what is that money?
Exactly.
It's like, what is it? Like, yeah, I could take that money, buy a house, put a deposit on the house. But it's just a bloody house. Like, that's not going to make me happy.
No.
What's going to be making me happy is I get to spend time with the people I want to spend time with and do things that we love with the people that we love.
Yep.
Exactly what Vin said. So it's just like,
worth it.
when you think about it that way, it's freaking worth it.
So that's the way, I don't know if that's the right way to think about it, but that's the way I'm thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? It's just once in a lifetime. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's get, 2 violinists, 2 singers,
DJs.
bilingual, celebrate, let's do it.
I'm so excited for you. Let's put it all on Instagram for you.
100%, let's do it. Because honestly, the timing, I wanted to do it on a boat sailing in front of Sydney Harbour Bridge, because to me, that is the Australian dream.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Never thought I would be in a place one day where, from my parents again, probably would never thought that one day they'll come to Australia and then she's getting married on a boat, on a yacht in front of Sydney Harbour Bridge. Like, that is an absolute dream.
Did your parents come from on a boat as well?
No, they came my dad came here on a scholarship, but he was that during that time.
The mass migration.
Yeah, all of that. Yep, it was during that time. So it was tough. He wasn't that batch that came here and like threw away their passports, but he was that batch. And when there was announced that they could stay, like, it was just the most emotional thing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So you watch the YouTube of, when Bob Hawke talked about it. Wow. Like, you can't imagine what impact that would have made in their lives.
So your whole life is really just centered around the whole migration
Exactly.
theme,
It's
isn't
so
it?
crazy, isn't it? And then I'm an immigration
There's
lawyer.
something poetic about the whole thing.
I know.
Because I actually remember also, again, going back to hanging out with you, And then, actually, funnily enough, I came back and he was in the office. Were you in the? No, you were in the office for.
Yes, I was.
Yeah, he was in the office.
Oh,
and I came back.
something.
Yeah, he had something on, and we sat down and he was asking me. He's like, "Oh, how was like hanging out with Traci and stuff?" Like, I'm like, "She's like a female version of you, man. Like literally, the same personality."
I met you the day before, and I'm like,
Yes.
yeah,
Like, get along.
because we were like just talking so fast.
And as someone who sits in the middle, I'm just like, holy shit, there's so many like similarities. Yeah. And then we're like, how did you grow up in Adelaide? She sounds like she grew up in Sydney.
I'm from the West.
But yeah, like there's something, I guess poetic about the whole thing because I'm probably not someone who thinks that way, but like to hear you guys talk about it and hear you talk about like the whole thing about doing your wedding, Great Australian Dream. It's pretty crazy. Yeah.
No way. Yeah. No way I would have thought that I would be able to do that one day. No, my parents would have thought that either. So it's just crazy to think that.
Because I always say that Asians do not want to do things on boats. Do you know why? Because
it's traumatic.
It's traumatic. They might get shipped away, you know? You never know. It's an accident.
I thought you meant it might like, sink and then, whatever. But no.
Well, he's from a Vietnamese
sail back
background.
home.
Yeah. I think because she's from a Chinese background. I don't think there was that many Chinese people like refugee boats though.
No, they all came by a plane. And then they threw their passports away.
Because it's the funniest thing. Because I was like,
Are you serious? I never thought that.
Did you notice that there's not many like Vietnamese that would party on a boat? Like it's just not a big thing, right?
And you think it's that?
No, I just joke around and say
it's funny. It probably is true. It probably is true.
Well, do your parents actually know how big you've gotten?
No. And that's what I was speaking to my friend about the other day is I tell my dad and then he's like, oh yeah, that's cool. That's good. But no way he would actually know. And if I was to tell him, I don't think he would believe me.
He wouldn't believe you?
No, I don't think so.
And it's also because you run like a fully remote team.
Yeah,
like
fully
you don't
remote.
have a physical office, right?
No.
And that's so he never there was no chance for him to ever like walk into an office and go, whoa, 50 employees.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't understand how big. So
and I don't think he dares to think it either. It's kind of that my mentality. He doesn't dare to think it, doesn't dare to dream it.
Would you ever tell them? Like, would you ever actually at the stage go, Mum, Dad, I want to show you what I've built?
I try all the time.
Okay.
I try. And then he's like, oh, really? Oh, okay, good.
And then,
good. Yeah, good.
And then they'll be like, have you eaten yet? Straight to the lecturing.
When are the kids, Traci?
Exactly. I don't think he knows. My mum has more idea, but my dad's kind of like more introverted. So I don't think he knows or dare to believe or dare to dream it. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
My parents don't really ask too many questions as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. They just don't know what to say about it because that's not something that they are used to. Like
exactly.
It's not like they ran. They try to, but they haven't ran full businesses before. So they don't even know what to ask.
I guess I could relate to that. My parents do ask, but when you explain it to them, they don't quite get it. They're like, oh, that's nice. You're running a little business. And
so they said like they asked about you, obviously because we're business partners. Yeah, and they were like, they gave me the look of, why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Why don't you just get a stable
why don't
job?
you do it by yourself? Yeah. Or why don't you do it? And then it's just
job.
like, so they just refuse to say anything because they know that if they say anything, they'll probably rub me the wrong way or they won't get it as well. So they just don't say anything at all.
Got it.
So
Well, what are you excited about, I guess, over the next few years, besides obviously growing this thing massively?
Yeah. And just seeing how far we can go and all the, fun times along the way. You have so much fun doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just things
you're
you look
spending
back
most
on.
of your time doing like content creation and marketing and I guess working on the business now as well, right? And I don't know, it seems like that way because that's why we were doing the whole Ramadan markets type thing. It's like doing more of that sort of content. Like what's sort of on the horizon for you?
Definitely continuing with the content creation, again, from a place of, enrichment and,
Rather than
sharing knowledge.
leads,
Sharing knowledge. And then continuing to grow as a business person and just seeing how far I can kind of take this and what the potential is. Because right now I feel like, there's so much that I can do. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, personally, like you're getting married now. Anything after that or?
I mean, I'm thinking about children.
Yeah.
We had a
I
conversation.
panic about it all the time. Like, every day I ping it up. Oh my God. But I'm actually worried about the pregnancy part because it's and this is such a business person, it's the one part I can't delegate to someone else. I have to like go through this pain myself, and I probably, you know, unless I have a really, you know, easy pregnancy, I'll probably be sick. I can't delegate that. But when I have the child, I can delegate a lot of those tasks, you know? Yeah, exactly. So that's actually the part I'm most worried about, because as a business owner and when you are growing at that level, you have to continue to innovate every single day. And I'm worried that I'll be so sick and so like big that I won't want to innovate. And that's the one part that worries me the most, that what happens if I don't innovate for like a week? You know, what would happen to the business?
I don't think we've talked to any business owners who are female and like running a very like large business and then trying to navigate this whole childbirth. I mean, we maybe touched on a few, but not into detail. But like certainly like from a male standpoint, I feel like the last 6 months, like since he was born, it has slowed me down. And I'm like, I'm not even the dude like giving birth and like doing the full-time caring. I'm not selling this very well for you.
Everybody, no one's sold it to me.
but it's a balance, right? Well, sorry, again, I'm not a woman. I haven't had kids. So just got to put it out there. But I've watched some video about this, but it's all about balance. Like, yeah, you can't operate at 150% when you're having a kid.
Exactly.
But it's okay.
Exactly. And that's what I've got to accept, because it's just once, and the next stage of life I've got to go into after marriage, you know, that's just the next thing I'm kind of looking at. But I panic about it every day. And I ask some of my team members who've already had children, and they tell me like the worst things. And it's just, you're not selling it to me. And then, you know, I was kind of saying to her, what do you do? Because she works from home. What do you do? Because she's got a child who's like 3, 4 now, so he can walk and talk and find her. She goes, I lock the door. She's out of sight, out of mind. You know? Because
he's on his own.
Yeah, he's on his own. She goes, you can't do it. I'm like, oh my, you're not selling this to me.
Put earplugs in.
She locks the door. You can't, because he's at a stage where he can walk and talk and find you. I'm like, oh, okay, so when does that start? You know, when they're needy? She goes, the minute they come out of you.
It is true.
Oh my God.
It is true.
But what my brother always says, it's just fulfilling. It's just different.
It is. There's like, I think as maybe very analytical business people, we sort of weigh up the pros and cons. I was talking about this yesterday with my wife, and I was like, there's something about having a kid that you just can't do the pros and cons list on, because it's the little moments, and I know this sounds cliche, but it's like the little moments that you have with him. And I think when kids tick along with milestones and they start to like unlock skills, it's like, maybe it's just the instinctual side of things where you look at them and you're like, okay, we created this thing and they're sort of now becoming this person I want. It's like, I think it's the ultimate, I guess, business proposition in terms of like building something that you want, right? But it's also the most hard. So, I mean, I'm pro kids because like I love kids.
Now you have one, you can have
I've got one as well,
and
it's validated things as well. But like to Davey's point, I think it's like, maybe it's just a different chapter in another stage. Because the one thing that when you asked me about it, we were talking about it, was like, I was like, you got these big ambitions, these big goals, but then it's like, if you have kids, how's that going to reconcile with what you're trying to do?
Exactly. I'm going to figure it out. Yeah, I'm panicking, but I'm like, okay, I'm ready for this. That's probably why that kind of ticked that I was going to have the wedding too. Yeah. Because I was panicking more about having the child, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll have the child first, then I'll worry about having a wedding. Right. But then again, my employee said, no, like after you have a child, you're not going to want to wear a white dress. You're not going to want to do that. Like, just do it now. I was like, oh, okay, fine. So again, it's a next chapter I'm kind of probably ready for now, and I probably know I need to do it because like I've thought about freezing my eggs, but I thought that the way I thought it was I can freeze my eggs and have them when I'm 40, right? Have the kids when I'm 40. But the doctor said, no, you still should have them now because anything after 35 is geriatric pregnancy. I was like, yeah, you know, so I'm like, okay, that's not what I thought. I thought I could just freeze them and have a healthy child when I was 40. It's not the case. So it's still got to happen now. Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah. Like even talking to a few friends who are over 35, they're like, you got to do it before 35. Because you get treated differently by the medical system as well. Like the medical system puts you into a higher risk profile, and then you have to do additional tests and you do a whole bunch of things. Oh my gosh. Whereas like Iris had it at 33, and which was already considered like not that young. Yeah. But she had all the the markers that she was doing well. Yeah. So she didn't need to get an OB. She just had midwives through the whole process. I thought it was a timing thing because like if you have your first one at about like 35, it's harder to have the next one. A lot of my friends have been telling me that the right period to have it is like before 35. And so if you have your first one at 35, it drags out the next one because sometimes even though you want to have a kid, you can't actually have a kid. Yeah, you can't get pregnant. Well, I imagine 35. Fertility continues to like drop. Yeah, it declines. Yeah, it declines. Yeah. So your timeline gets dragged out. Yeah. So
your whole life gets put on pause because you're expecting after 35 or after you have your first kid, you're expecting to have the second one straight away.
But it's not that quick.
Yeah, it's not that quick. So you're dragging it out. You get like, it's funny because I was speaking to my mates about it over the weekend. They were like, I've paid for private health insurance for 2 years and I didn't need to pay for it. And then when I cancelled it,
she got pregnant.
And you had to be on private health insurance for 12 months first before you can
Exactly. You can't just, you can't, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like they said, like it drags out. So it's like it's easier to get pregnant when you're before 35. That's one of the other reasons as well.
But I think it's especially tough for someone like yourself because you're like, man, business is doing well. There's so many things you want to do.
So many things I want to take my parents to go do as well.
Yeah.
I want to travel with them.
Yep.
And again, the girls are like, you're not going to travel when you have kids, you know? I'm like, okay.
But I don't think that's like travel is a big. I mean, David hears me talk about bang on about travel all the time. Like with kids, I'm like, it's like I'm going to Singapore in September and he's going to be like 10 months old. I'm like, I'm fucking going.
Yeah.
That's still good, yeah, because he doesn't get moody yet.
It's a mindset thing again. It's like,
walk.
I've seen literally people on like hiking trips when I travel and they're like got a kid strapped to their back or to their stomach and a baby carrier and they're doing it. And I'm like, respect. Because it's like these people don't use it as an excuse to not do it. I think people just say that because they're like, well, I don't travel, whatever. I don't really care. But if you genuinely love it and it's a priority in your life, you're going to do it anyway, whether or not you have a kid or not.
Yeah.
Just got to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll work out.
I think, you'll be fine with it.
I just got to do it. Yeah, I've just got to do it because, because she goes, how many kids do you want to have on 2? She goes, well, you got to start now.
That's what I'm trying to tell my missus as well. You got to start now if you want to.
Because 2, exactly, or maybe more. It just takes time, everything.
Yeah.
Okay, good way to wrap up. We talked about kids instead of business as well. But have you got anything you want to share? Anything exciting? Any advice?
I think one thing I want to share is like, this is the epiphany that I had is, everybody talks about how hard it is to kind of be first or second generation migrants. But when I was reflecting on it, I think this generation we are in now is probably the best generation. It's better than the previous generation and our descendants because when our parents came to Australia, they were very much still Asian culture and they raised us within that. When we went to school, we were able to integrate into Western culture and see that. So I think about every day is like, what a privilege for us to be able to see the world from 2 lenses, Western culture and Asian culture. But our kids won't be able to experience that because by the time we raise them,
they're fully assimilated.
Yeah, and we're already very Western as well. Yeah. So when people think about, it's so hard being, a migrant or so hard being, second generation, it's actually such a privilege.
I agree.
A gift. Yeah.
Third culture kid, sitting in the middle. And I've actually met 3rd, 4th, 5th generation Asians before. And like they a lot of culture's gone. Like I know some, they're like, we don't even celebrate like Lunar New Year.
Yeah.
And I was like, I actually found that really sad because I was like, dude, I was like, this is our like ancestral like roots. Yeah. It's like your culture. It's like your, I don't know, maybe we're romantic about it, but it's like.
It's where you came from.
Yeah, but not just that. I mean, it's like who we are as people, right? Like, of course we look different and, our family came from a different place. Like you got to hang on to those things. I think maybe the older you get, the more you appreciate that.
Yeah, there's one time in your life you'll start thinking about it and go like, what's the point like of where did I come from and all that stuff like that. And where's my culture?
You're 100% right. Like
what a gift, yeah.
It's such a gift.
So don't think of it as like a, something that's going to stop you or affect your life. Like just use it as a gift because we see the world from 2 lenses.
Yeah, and I think you're a living example of that. So I appreciate you coming on. If people want to reach out to you, obviously we talked about like Insta and TikTok and all that. So is that the best place to get in contact with you?
No.
You got an autoresponder?
Dazza. Probably not. Probably just through our website, Maison Chen, MaisonChenLaw.com.au. Just there's a contact form there. That's probably the best way to reach us, or call the reception line.
Excellent. Thanks for coming on, Tracy.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Level Asian podcast. Make sure you subscribe and leave us a 5-star review if you enjoyed the episode. And why not share it with friends and family who might enjoy it too? Also, make sure you head over to levelasianpodcast.com to join our email list and to receive the latest updates and get notified when the next episode drops. If you know a great guest we should feature, email us at contact@levelasianpodcast.com or DM us on our socials in the show notes. Catch you on the next episode.